It's another beautiful day in Oxnard, California at the Cowboys training camp. Hi, everybody. It's Inside Cowboys training camp. Brad, Sham, Mickey Spagnola. Two-a-days kind of today with the walkthrough in the morning and then a padded practice in the afternoon. But there were a couple of notable things today. First of all, just to keep an eye on, Jason Garrett mentioned that Zack Martin has a tight back, was getting an MRI this afternoon. We don't have the results yet. Hopefully, as Jason said, he seems to be moving around okay, but we'll keep an eye on that one. Zack Martin is not a name you want to hear associated with injuries. Other than that, the big thrust today was the annual camp visit of an NFL officiating crew headed by referee Tony Correnti, first of 3 days here. They will have a meeting with the team later tonight. So we asked Jason Garrett, what questions do you have for the officials?
The stuff that I'm always most interested in is when the tape comes up and we're watching a play on film in front of the whole group. Okay, what are you guys looking for? What can we do? What can't we do? What are some of the things that bother you? And if you see that, we're going to call it, just so we can coach it better. And there's a lot of different specific things that they'll share, their points of emphasis that we're not fully aware of, and that usually prompts a lot of really good discussion as well.
Jason Garrett greeted the officials, who then made their presentation to members of the media who were here. And, it's an informative session that happens every year. I think the big emphasis this year is on the reviewability of pass interference.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of those already took place in the first game, the Hall of Fame game on Thursday night. And my interest, Brad, was who's going to ultimately make the decision. Are they going to make it back in New York? Will the officials on the field have some say? And Tony Correnti, the head official that was here with us, giving us the seminar, said it'll be a collaborative effort. So that was somewhat comforting. And that's for if it was called or if it was not called and it was challenged. So I thought that was a good thing to know. I still didn't disagree with him on the head-to-head, lowering the head on Ezekiel Elliott, because that defensive guy lowered his head first, and Zeke tried to go as low, and he got called for that penalty. That was a significant call in that game, by the way.
It really was. There are a few other little tweaks and a couple of new wrinkles, but the pass interference one is the one that has the chance to be most impactful. The other thing that's notable about this weekend, of course, is tomorrow's Hall of Fame induction that will include longtime Cowboys executive Gil Brandt. More on that when we return to Inside Cowboys Training Camp.
Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford, is brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing. That's our thing. Sleep Number. The Sleep Number 360 smart bed helps everyone from parents to pros improve their performance through quality sleep. Only at a Sleep Number store. And by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. This segment is brought to you by Sleep Number. The Sleep Number 360 smart bed helps everyone from parents to pros improve their performance through quality sleep. Only at a Sleep Number store.
Welcome back to Oxnard. It's Inside Cowboys Training Camp. Brad, Sham, Mickey Spagnola. This is a special weekend for the National Football League because it's the annual Pro Football Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. And this year, there's a significant Cowboys flavor to it, as Gil Brandt, one of the Cowboys' original executives and kind of the founders of the way the franchise did business, will be inducted as a contributor and, by the way, presented by Jerry Jones.
Yeah, and Friday night they have the gold jacket ceremony. Brad and I have been to those before, and it's a really neat thing. So Gil will get his jacket, and as he pointed out, like 60 years ago, he got the call from Tex Schramm and said, hey, I'd like to hire you. And not only did it change his life, it changed how the NFL did business in scouting. So let's get to what Gil is thinking about heading into his induction.
I was worried about being there for 1 year. And it's really funny how Tex hired me because he called me in October of 1959 and said, I got a job for you. And I said, Tex, I don't know anything about television. He said, no. He said, we're going to have a franchise in Dallas. And he said, I want you to be in charge of player personnel. But he said, before you come, be sure you steal everything you can from the Rams scouting files. And so we did things then, and they talk about analytics now. We did the same thing 50 years ago, except we called them probabilities instead of analytics. And so I'm so proud that my relationship with Bill Parcells and people like that have continued on through the years, thanks to what we did. And Belichick, I think I visited him about 20 times when he was both at Cleveland and New England, just to show him how our scouting system worked, and it worked out pretty well for him. Well, I always thought there was a possibility of happening, but when you realize there's only 326 people in the Hall of Fame, the odds are not very good. And there are so many people out there, but thank goodness they went to this contributors category, and it gave us a chance to get in. And I just hope that gives other people that were scouts that came up the same way I did as a chance to get into the Hall of Fame.
The NFL has announced that next year, the 2020 induction, in conjunction with the celebration of 100 years of the NFL, they're going to double the size of the class. Instead of the 10 it is every year, there will be 20 inductees next year. Be interesting to see if what Gil is talking about is expanded next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he was really adamant about that he's not the only scout out there or personnel director that has had a big impact either on his team or on the NFL and how they do their scouting. So he was hoping this opens the door for future guys that were in the same position he was to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Padded practice this afternoon. Another one tomorrow. We'll be back to talk about that when we continue on Inside Cowboys Training Camp.
This segment was brought to you by Sleep Number. The Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed helps everyone from parents to pros improve their performance through quality sleep. Only at a Sleep Number store.
Welcome back to Oxnard. It's Inside Cowboys Training Camp. Brad Sham, Mickey Spagnola. Of course, there has to be some daily contract conversation, and there will be until Ezekiel Elliott comes in and gets a new deal, and the same thing happens with Dak Prescott and Amari Cooper. But Jerry Jones did say something to the media yesterday on his way to Canton that was kind of insightful, I think.
It was, because everybody's asking him, are you worried? Can you get it done? And he kind of turned and looked at everybody like he was incredulous, and he said, when have I not got one done? And he's right? He always gets it done at some point. I thought the other thing that was important on the things he said, somebody asked him, are you mad at Zeke? You've supported Zeke through all his trials and tribulations, and now he's causing problems. And Jerry said, you know at some point these things are going to happen. He goes, we have a divergence, and we have to sit down and talk it out and make up afterwards. He goes, but I've got more patience now than I used to, which is good news for everybody.
And by the way, with all this contract talk somewhere, Dak Prescott just drank another bottle of Gatorade, I think. All right, so as we continue to watch these practices, it's important to remember that every day's practice has a specific purpose, and Jason Garrett was talking about that after his on-camera media session today about some of the things that they'll be doing the next 2 days out here.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing that I was wondering about, we haven't seen goal line live, that they actually are tackling, putting the ball carrier on the ground. If you remember last year out here, they did it a day or two before the scrimmage, and that's when Antoine Woods made a name for himself. He made a tackle on the goal line and did one of these snake crawls. Well, this year, because they didn't have as many practices before the blue and white, they're going to do the goal line in the blue and white, so we have to wait till Sunday.
Tomorrow morning, a special teams walkthrough and yoga before the padded practice. Mickey and I will be back tomorrow night on Inside Cowboys Training Camp.
Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford, was brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing. That's our thing. Sleep Number. The Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed helps everyone from parents to pros improve their performance through quality sleep. Only at a Sleep Number store. Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. And by the Dallas Cowboys Football Club. Want to tour AT&T Stadium? For more information, call 817-892-TOUR or visit attstadium.com/tours.